Today we're playing Pub Battle's Antietam scenario. Now one thing that might look a little different here is I had a friend of mine, a machinist friend of mine, made up some metal blocks for me. These are actually steel blocks which I've now painted in hammered nickel and hammered bronze. Union is the nickel, Confederacy is the bronze. Let us begin. Today I'm going to do an aggressive northern opening. And what better way than to begin with Burnside's 9th Corps. Now we have Porter's 5th Corps storming across the lower bridge. Next, the artillery trundles forward. Mansfield's 12th Corps prepares to reinforce any success that Porter might have. Next is Hooker's 1st Corps. It hits the Confederate left. Sumner's 2nd Corps advances. Lee's 2nd Corps, under Jackson, is drawn. General Jackson refuses his left flank, and his artillery opens up on Burnside's troops coming across the bridge. Sending the lead elements tumbling back across the bridge. Next is Longstreet. He holds his position, and his artillery opens up on the remaining Union troops. They too are driven back. Combat on turn 1. Burnside assaults D.H. Hill's division in the sunken road. In the end, the Confederates are wiped out in the sunken road, but Burnside's 9th Corps is in no shape to hold it. On the Confederate right, John Porter's 5th Corps comes storming across the lower bridge. Though at a cost of nearly 5,000 men, they push Walker off the hilltop. That is the end of turn 1. Turn 2. Sumner's Corps is drawn. They advance towards the Confederate left. Burnside's devastated 9th Corps moves its bags forward and unpacks them. His corps spends the rest of the morning recovering. Union artillery on the hill shells the Confederate position, driving them back. The rest of the Union artillery is brought forward. Longstreet counterattacks John Porter's 5th Corps to drive them back across the river. Jackson adjusts his lines to deal with the new threat. Pleasanton moves his cavalry across Antietam Creek. Fitzjohn Porter's men are overwhelmed by Longstreet's response, and they fall back across the river. Hooker's First Corps advances forward. Stuart moves to support the Confederate left. Mansfield's corps has discovered a lower ford. They're going to try crossing there. Turn 2 ends. Turn 3. Longstreet observes Mansfield's movements and adjusts his defenses. Hooker's First Corps charges. Late morning and Burnside is ready to try again. Sumner supports Hooker. Federal artillery moves forward. Turn 3, Franklin's Sixth Corps arrives. They advance towards Antietam Creek and fall out into line. Mansfield's 12th Corps crosses a ford and slams into the Confederate right, Anderson's troops. It's late morning. We've got a lot of combat starting now. On the Confederate left, Hooker attacks an detachment on a hill. The detachment is destroyed. Casualties for victory are only counted among full-strength infantry blocks. So each side has lost one full-strength infantry block. South have also lost a detachment. The detachments and the artillery and cavalry losses will be on this side of the box, and infantry losses will be at the top. Stuart's cavalry advances forward to hold the Confederate left. This is enough to falter the Union attack, and Stuart's cavalry rides off. On the hill we have Jackson's Iron Brigade defending against the combined assault of Hooker's and Sumner's attack. The grape shot from Jackson's guns rakes and drives off the initial assault. Then the guns are pulled to safety. The Union continues the assault, but they are no match for Jackson's best men. Burnside's drive into center on Sharpsburg itself. And heavy fighting sees Jackson's men fall back into Sharpsburg while the Union drive fizzles out. And finally, Longstreet's defense on the far right. And again, on the south side here, heavy fighting sees the Union crossing, driving back Longstreet's troops, sweeping them from the hill as it were, and crossing in presence, but at heavy losses. Turn 4. Hooker's Corps keeps the pressure up. Porter and Mansfield hatch a plan for major drive. Union artillery has moved south to aid in that drive. Sumner pours a fresh division into the assault on Jackson's left. He also brings his bags forward. He may need to deploy bags to recover from this initial drive. So they're going to keep the pressure up. Jackson finds he's getting overwhelmed. He's going to have to reposition his line. Ewell's Corps and the artillery form a strong defense north of Sharpsburg. Stuart's cavalry continues to harass Hooker on the Union right. Pleasanton gets word that the cavalry are needed to help hurry along the Confederate retreat. Burnside's 9th Corps drives hard in the center. Longstreet's artillery is cut off. He sends his troops in to recover it and pushes back against the Union drive in the south. Now the Federal block here, it goes all the way out to here, but actually this isn't across the river. This whole division is this side of the creek, of Antietam Creek, so there's nothing in this part. And it is through that nothing that Longstreet sends a detachment, while still keeping a detachment at this lower ford. Now ordinarily, in many games, I wouldn't know what to do with Franklin's 6th Corps. Do I want to send it south to help with this drive, or send it straight across to help with this drive? However, in two-fisted solitaire play, McClellan really wouldn't know what's going on down here. He knows Burnside is pushing forward here. He wants to support the success. Franklin goes across. Here we are, turn 4 combat, and there's a lot going on. Here, Stuart attacks on the left. The Federals are driven from the hill. Next attack is Burnside's drive on Sharpsburg. D. Jones has a detachment scattered in front. Detachment is driven back into the regular division. In desperate fighting, the Confederates are thrown out of Sharpsburg. The assault on the artillery. The Green troops leading the attack were driven back by the grape. And then Rodman's division was thrown back by the grape. Longstreet's artillery has done an amazing job. Sykes' division of Porter's 5th Corps is attacked by the Confederate remnants and eliminated. Mansfield's drive. Mansfield division forced to retreat and runs into the detachment guarding the ford. His division is eliminated. This was quite the showdown. Depending on the chit draw next turn, Longstreet's artillery is probably going to survive, and Union hopes on the Confederate right have been totally eliminated. Turn 5. With turn 5, we'll see the arrival of A.P. Hill's division. We drew Mansfield's chit. I'm removing it from the game because Mansfield's corps has been eliminated. Mansfield returns to McClellan and says, "I'm out." Longstreet's chit is drawn and he has a plan. He sends troops to threaten the northern bags. His artillery moves behind the Stone Mill Creek, along the Lower Bridge Road. Walker's division guards it, and Hood's division slams into the side of Sturgis. Union artillery advances to the hilltop. Union artillery rallies. Now unpacked bags have a full command range, but they have to cross the bridge here to get to where they're going, and that will be enough. Sumner unpacks bags. Richardson's division rallies. Sedgwick's division moves behind the hill. I've drawn 5th Corps. I'm pulling that shit out of the bag because Porter goes running back with Mansfield. His corps is totally eliminated. Hooker's 1st Corps. Meade rallies. Ricketts rallies. And Doubleday's division advances towards the cavalry, though in all likelihood they'll ride off. With no time to rally, Burnside directs his spent divisions right into the artillery. He reforms his corps. Smith has the closest troops, but they cannot protect the bags. Nevertheless, they recross in a race. Perhaps they can come out ahead. Stewart's cavalry division here recovers, and Lee falls back. Jackson's corps is drawn, and A.P. Hill appears. He comes out of column, right there. Pleasanton sends his men into combat. That is the end of turn 5, movement, but we've got some combat. This end, we've got Pleasanton's cavalry charging a detachment. They thought it was a detachment, actually it's Stonewall's full division. They immediately ride off. Sumner's attack on the Confederate artillery. The division is driven back, and it throws the entire Union right flank into disorder. Burnside's attack on Longstreet's artillery. The grape shot causes heavy casualties. Burnside's attack is foiled. The Confederate infantry occupies the fought over ground. That ends combat for turn 5, beginning of turn 6. Over here, who will move first? Will French's fresh divisions get ahead of the bags and protect them? Or will Longstreet's spent divisions reach the bags first? Comes down to chit draw and command rolls. Stuart's cavalry come alive, go racing over the hill into the confused Union troops, and keep pressure on Hooker's troops as well. Also, General Lee can activate whenever one of his troops his commands activates. So with this command, Lee is moving down here, be within command range of Longstreet, in case Longstreet needs assistance in getting the rolls they want. Franklin's 6th Corps is drawn first. That's these guys. Longstreet moves to the top of the hill and rolls and fails. Lee supports him and fails. That is harsh. Now they're going to have to fight for it. Of course, Longstreet is drawn next. He rebuilds his defenses there. Even though they become spent entering Sharpsburg, Hood's forces attack. He moves his bags up in case he needs to continue pushing down here and recover his troops. Slocum pulls some men back and sends his one good division up over the hill to restore the situation. Jackson meets up with A.P. Hill's corps and tells him to support Longstreet, which they go to do. Hooker rejoins the attack and recovers the rest of his troops. Burnside recovers his troops. His other troops fall back. Pleasanton pulls his cavalry back to recover. And Union artillery opens up on the Confederate artillery. To no effect. This Union artillery rallies. This artillery fires a flank shot into the Confederates, driving many from the hill. Turn 6 combat. Stewart's cavalry simply rides off. All you needed to do was delay the Union. And down here, the Confederate drive on the Union bags. Heavy fighting, heavy losses, but the Union holds. Now at this point, the Union has lost 6 blocks. They can only lose 2 more and they'll lose the game. Confederates have lost 3 blocks, and if they lose 2 more, they lose the game. It's still anybody's game at this point. Turn 7. Union artillery has moved up to the top of the hill, ready to shell the Confederate lines. Union artillery turns, moves there. They're coming around to support the defense of the bags. Slocum's division guards the bags. Longstreet orchestrates a concerted attack on the bags. A.P. Hill's Light Division ready to join in the assault. Stewart's cavalry recovers and screens the front lines. Hooker's corps attacks. Pleasanton's cavalry recovers. Burnside reforms his line and sends other troops across the bridge to protect the bags. Sumner supports Hooker's attack. The rest of his corps rallies. And now we have some combat. First, Jackson has a detachment screening out in front, covering Hooker's attack. The Union assault is broken up. The cavalry are driven back. Jackson's stalwarts, the Iron Brigade, step up. They eliminate another division. But then they too are thrown back by the continued Federal assault. The cavalry screen. Stewart's cavalry is doing an amazing job. They eliminated another block. Now the Union has lost 8 blocks. They have lost the game unless they can manage to eliminate 2 more Confederate blocks. But again, Stewart's amazing cavalry throws back the Federal drive. Last chance. McLeod's division is driven back. The rest of Franklin's corps is eliminated. Now the Federals have lost 9 blocks. There's still a detachment contacting the Union bags. At this point, the Union Army breaks. Late in the evening, Confederates have broken through the rear area, their supply lines, and they will not budge from the line they have drawn. Man, that was a good game. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.